Welcome to the portal. Let's start this video with some positivity by saying I'm not looking forward to this, even though it's an amazing patch, because it's a fucking long one, and I don't know how to make this video short without, like, cutting out reasonable commentary. Special thanks to one of the modders who inspired them to sort of finally put a bunch of utilities into the game, quality of life stuff, like health bars for monsters and whatnot. That's nice. I'll just kind of get through this. So deferred rendering is a new feature that everyone with any medium to high end PC should try. The FPS improvement I got from this is insane. I pretty much never dip below 40 FPS now, even in areas where I used to go down to the single digits. So that's great. Update to game difficulty. I'm looking forward to there being salt about this because everyone needs to shut the fuck up about it. With this patch, the base game has received a substantial balancing overhaul. So basically, normal and veteran are harder, and elite is harder. Mostly, it's like multi-layered. Like the difficulty bonuses to enemies themselves is higher, but certain enemy skills and bosses were also retuned to be a little bit harder. To give you a comparison, it's not making the game that much harder. I guess veteran will be harder and elite will be generally harder, but as for the monster changes themselves, they should just be brought up to par to Ashes of Malmouth and Forgotten Gods expansion content. A lot of players noted that like vanilla content was way easier than the expansion content. Now they should be more even. I think this is a great change. I think it makes the game more interesting. I think we've had a lot of player power creep for a long time. Players are more powerful than ever now in Grim Dawn, so just buffing up some of the earlier difficulties is I think is good because they definitely got like mindlessly easy. And now it doesn't matter. Like I've playtested this, guys. Like once you complete your build, you're still a god. Like it doesn't really impact ultimate at all. It's only the earlier difficulties, and I guess it impacts the first acts of ultimate somewhat, but it felt pretty easy to me. And the difficulty increase isn't as huge as people might be afraid of. If people complain about this, basically, they're a bunch of whiny bitch babies that never learn how to play a game properly. They just can't handle losing. They're the kind of people that it's like, oh, I'm losing. The game must be designed badly. It has no reflection of my ability to think out a character build or pilot my character. It must be the game. So it's a good change. Major new features. So auto loot for components, consumables, and crafting materials is now available. That's really fucking good. Everyone wanted this. All the playtesters wanted this. Only the devs thought that this wasn't a good idea from the get go because the argument was this: auto loot will clutter people's inventories, and they'll be disorganized, and then they won't even realize when they pick certain things up. So they'll have to look through their inventories to see the new stuff that they picked up and figure out what what they actually acquired automatically, and it'll take away from the gameplay of actually killing things. And there's validity to that, but like this is better. This it's toggleable one, and it doesn't pander to newbies that don't know how to organize their shit. So that's fine. Partial components that are looted now automatically merge with other partial components in your inventory. That's great. Nobody was using partially completed components, so like this just makes sense. Monster health bars. I was really like, I didn't think I'd like having monster health bars. I like it. I tested it. It's fucking great. The monster HUD, that's nice. Blah blah blah. The crafting UI has a search bar now, so it's easier to find recipes that are actually relevant to you, or just the one you're looking for. That's great. Uh, yeah, and you can search now with Ashes of Malmouth. You get a search bar within your stash, so you can actually highlight items in your stash within your search parameters. So if your stash gets really full, you can find whatever you're looking for really easily. Um, Slathsar Aether Gaze is poison pools now 50% shorter duration in the Shattered Realm. When I first heard that, I didn't think it would be enough because basically his poison pool damages you, but it also makes you fumble your attacks very often. And he would just cast these things nonstop, and he was just a bitch. And I just thought the radius on the poison pool is so big. I felt like his poison pills, a pool pill, jeez, would still fuck you. But the 50% shorter duration, the duration's shorter than I thought. So, he's still like on the higher end of annoying, but like he's very manageable now. Crucible players will be happy to know you don't have to do random map anymore. You can choose which Crucible map you want to play if you want to do speed runs to show off builds. This shit's crazy. This is free content just because Crate loves everyone and wants to make their game as good as possible. There's no financial reason to do this at this point, so take it with gratitude. Boneback Rats and Rift Hounds are basically got a art overhaul from the early game. They're great. A lot of spell FX stuff just got fixed so that item skill modifiers will update things properly. That's a good change because that's why a lot of people pick the items. But this is cool. So projectiles look better, explosion ground effects all look crazy. If you can run everything on very high, there's like new ultra high particle settings. It's like raving disco lights with your particles in underground areas now. It's really cool looking. Yeah, spell FX. So more spell FXs were less bright now. To like so because there's so many stacking spell effects in Grim Dawn. A blowout is when there's so much shit going on you can't see your own character. Um, FX feet for feet trails was reduced for some of the boots. Um, Flames of Ignifar was toned down a bit. Alexa's Flash Freeze's new art is so fucking cool. Panetti's Replicating Missile looks new now. It looks really good. Rune of Kalistar Blowouts. The new Sigil of Consumption looks really good as well. And so does Trojan Sky Shard. I actually like the Trojan Sky Shard change. You'll see. And basic damage effects. Basically, the game got more modern looking. There was a bug that people didn't realize now. The female models in the game just stand more upright, and it makes certain armor that bugged out from the lower half like look a little warped. It looks less warped, so that's good. This is really great. This is new. This wasn't in playtesting. They fixed several issues that caused monster health to desync in multiplayer. Sometimes in multiplayer, you'd experience something where you're fighting a boss together, someone who isn't the host dies, and when they come back, the boss looks like they have 1 HP. But on the host screen, they still at half or whatever HP they're at. So from your screen, you'd be wailing on something that looks like it should die in one hit, and it doesn't die. But it was just a desync error. It wasn't like the monster had more health. It was just a visually multiplayer bug. So, God, I really want to get to the items because that's the good stuff. Veteran difficulty now gets 10% experience gain bonus. Um, this is just because veteran is harder and slower, so it's just to give you a little incentive, basically. Oh, and it's multiplicative with experience gain gear. So if you have uh, it multiplies the experience gain gear. I don't know how to explain that. So it's not like an additive 10% more. It actually like multiplies the bonus you already have. So if 100% experience gear is giving you 220% 200% XP, in veteran you'll get 220%. Basically, that's how it should work. Uh, Increased experience and gain on elite difficulty. I mean, that's fine. People are going to be going into ultimate difficulty at level 100, I imagine. Um, Improved stats. This is new. This was not in the playtest. They added this at the last minute. Improved stats on fixed item quest rewards. So the green items you get from quests, like the that are like one-offs that you only get from that quest and they never appear again, are now just generically better. So that's cool. Reduced ruin devotion shrine requirements on elite and ultimate difficulty. So because people can now skip into those later difficulties, it just felt like really tedious to have to go back to grab all the devotion shrines. I still think players are going to do that anyways because the lower difficulties are less threatening. But basically, it's just cheaper to do devotion shrines on higher difficulties, and you might think that makes the game easier, but really it's just tedious more than anything else. Like there's already so many devotion shrines, you didn't have to, like they're not mandatory, the higher difficulty ones anymore. So it's really just a convenience thing. It's a healthy change. All component blueprints now generate complete components rather than partial components. Required materials updated accordingly. So this means like shitty blueprints that used to give like a piece of a component that required four pieces. Now the cost and the ingredients for the recipe will be four times higher, but it'll just craft a completed component. That's real quality of life stuff. Like no one gives a fuck about the partially partial components. So it's good. Rune augments. Increase the travel distance on rush runes. This is really nice. I haven't tested Virus Might, but I noticed something in playtesting that isn't here. The delay on the rush rune, like after you cast it, your character would shoulder lurch forward a little bit, like he would lean in after rushing through enemies, and that little animation delay kind of locked you in place, which made you a little more vulnerable after rushing. I noticed that was significantly reduced on the runes. I haven't tried it yet on Virus Might, but now the rush runes feel pretty much as good as teleport. Like right after you rush, you can start moving again. Um, Conversely, the teleport runes reduce their travel distance, which is honestly fair because defensively the teleport runes are extremely strong. You just click away and you're instantly there, and there's like no delay after your teleport. You can just start running further. So that's good. Oh, and increased damage and utility on all runes. Also positive, so that they're more meaningful. The combat runes are more meaningful to combat. They were all kind of weak. A lot of them felt like you used them for their debuffs and basically anything else. Some of the leap runes were okay, but now they're pretty solid. All legendary shields that deal non-physical damage have had their base damage changed to the appropriate damage type. That is a mouthful, but as it explains, like if you have a shield that's themed around fire damage and it's a legendary, now instead of doing base fizz damage, it'll do base fire. It's just makes sense. I'm gonna have to update all my item threads, but alright, Relic. This is gonna be controversial to some people, but so Annihilation added 8% energy cost reduction. This is really good. Some demolition builds struggle with energy cost. I don't know if 8%'s enough. I could see it going as high as 12. It is a relic after all, so they can be pretty defining to certain build types. But if 8% ends, I mean, we have a lot of sources of energy regen these days, so 8% might do the trick. It lost cunning, but you really didn't need it. And now the granted skill, instead of casting it, it's on attack, so you get an automatic big fucking meteor. This is controversial because some people like to attach devotion abilities to the meteor, but just I don't know, deal with it. The meteor was pretty shit, and it's more important that all facets of the item are good as opposed to it just being a semi-useless devotion procer. So this is a positive change. I've actually tried it out, and it feels really good to have that big meteor crash down automatically. Relic Bane added 4% offensive ability and 4% lifesteal. Removed flat offensive ability. Added attack damage converted to health on the skill proc. This is a really positive change. That's great. Relic Dreek's Affliction. This is new. This was not on my list, and this was not in playtesting. This is like new to me. Like today, the patch notes got released. This line appeared that wasn't there for us playtesters. Reduced cooldown, increased damage on the granted skill with Forgotten Gods. Now has additional percent retaliation damage added to attack. Great, Dreek's Affliction is better. Hooray! Ignifar's Combustion removed attack and cast speed. Everyone hates nerfs, but it was an extremely powerful relic. It basically deserves it. Relic Necrosis. So this is cool. Granted skill now reduces all non-physical resists by 10%. So it's a very generic resist reduction relic. Which is great. Like I don't know if it'll be good enough because it's a generic kind of weird debuff relic, but it has a way more potential now. This is gonna have to be tested by multiple players with creative builds to see if it has a place where it can fit, where it's best in slot for the relic slot. Because in an ideal world, all the relics would have their own special environment. The Nemesis relic, increased defensive ability reduction applied by the pet to 150. That's really high. it's like having 150 more OA, except I think it's on attack. It's not like a I don't think it's an aura. I don't remember. But so it's not going to be applied to like many things at once either way. So it's a buff, but I don't know if it's enough. The Nemesis relic is like really niche. I think it could do better than this. Um, I think the pet could be a little stronger, basically. But maybe that's too generically good. I don't know. I feel like the relic still needs a little something more, but this might, for builds that go a little lower on the OA side, this might be what they need. Relic Oblivion. The granted skill is now spammable, values adjusted accordingly. This in this case, this means the values were toned down because you can spam it, but that's really good. Oblivion now has its own unique function. Um, Ouroboros Reaping, increased damage on the granted skill. I really like this. I had like a couple friends that said they used the relic with the granted skill, but I just think they're not playing optimally. Like they're playing like I think people have fun, uh, and then I think well I'm enjoying it, so it's fine. But from like the min max perspective, you do want things to be as competitive as possible, which doesn't really hurt the fun because if it's competitive, it's still going to be used and you're still going to like it. So this is good because people who are using this relic, I think, were often doing it mostly for the stats. And this was just sort of like an extra thing to use, but I always felt it was a little bit underpowered. So I really like this change. I think it's a solid relic now. Ugol's Hunger. This is like one of the newer relics. It's acid spin to win, whirlwind barbarian style kind of going on, and now the granted whirlwind of acid spinny stuff is stronger. We'll have to. I didn't get to test this. We have to see if it's strong enough. I don't know. Ooh, we're really getting into it. Faction Blaze Rush. Increased attack speed to 22%. It's great. Replace bonuses and modifier for Granado with support for Flame Touch. That's really good. That's just really good. All that's positive. Whether or not it makes the demolitionist side good enough for Blaze Rush, I imagine it actually will. Um, I think that's great. Faction Blood War. Increased attack speed to 18%. Replaced. This is like a bleeding pistol. Yeah, replace pierce damage with bleed damage. Increase bleed damage modifier for storm spread to 120. Replace pierce damage modifier for phantasmal blades with 8% weapon damage modifier. That's a big buff, so that's really cool. We'll have to see how that works out. But I imagine that it shouldn't be too far off from a viable bleed item now. Corruption added 4% cooldown reduction. It's just a buff. I don't know these weapons off the top of my head. We can even look at some of these. This is going to make the video take longer, but let's be thorough today. Or should I just skip to the interesting stuff? I don't know. If you guys actually give a fuck, comment whether you really want me to go through it thoroughly or if you just want my quick thoughts on everything to speed up the videos. This just makes sense. This is a poison favoring weapon. It's not really for spamming abilities. Poison is over time. So the cooldown just lets you apply your big poison nukes more often. Oh, and it lets you use Ravenous Earth more often. It's a good change. Whether it's sufficient, I don't know. It's a kind of a weird weapon. But we'll see. Hex Launcher. I think that's a Drain Essence pistol. You got more cast speed. 4% more cast speed. I mean, it's a good change, but I still imagine it's a bit of a weak pistol. I don't think that's going to be enough of a buff. Night Stalker Pendant added Frostburn modifier for Rune of Hagrid, increased its crit damage to 12%, increased the Frostburn modifier for Ring of Steel. So this is great. I like the idea of like a cold Ring of Steel, Rune of Hagrid hybrid thing. It was definitely underperforming. It's probably still underperforming, but it won't underperform as much. And in general, like I had a hand to play in a bunch of these this time around. But specifically for Rune of Hagrid, I basically argued to Santai Like, I understand that you nerfed Rune of Hagrid because lots of people were taking it just as a nuke without even like supporting it that much because its damage was so ridiculous. So since you took so much of its power away from the base skill, why not pump some power back into it through its itemization support so it can regain some of its former glory if you're willing to specialize in it? So positive changes. Rancor reduced physical resistance, reduced bleed reduction modifier, nerf. Oh, and increased bonus to shaman skills though. I increased and reduced bonus. Okay. So this improves the shaman side of it, which is fine because that was not the overperforming side. But overall, it's a nerf, and it's a healthy one. Rancor was fucking ridiculous. Faction, the Desolator, increased attack speed to 24%, defensive ability to 55, and increased flashbang to +3. I'm happy about this. I requested a buff to this because I felt for a two-handed fire strike weapon, it was getting like crucible times over 9 minutes. It just needed a bump. Not every weapon has to be top tier, but even saying that, I'm not sure this is actually enough. It might need like a flat damage booster or something because I think for Fire Strike, even just using Vortex of Souls with Pierce Through gets you more than this. But I guess there's defensive downsides to using Vortex of Souls. But man, your kill speed's way higher with Vortex of Souls. So I don't know. I feel this could be a little better. Vampires. Increase the damage modifier for Reap Spirit to 122 to 450. So that's a lot of chaos damage. That might seem ridiculous to people compared to some of the other numbers you see. Oh wow, that is a big improvement. It doubled it almost doubled the max damage on it. So was it like a 50% increase? I don't know, to the mid. But it's a weird item on the Reap Spirit side, and Chaos is hard to support. The reason why it's not OP is because Chaos damage doesn't get much resist reduction. So even though you get like that's the theme of Chaos damage, you get like crazy damage numbers, but you don't have much ability to reduce enemies' Chaos resist, so it doesn't actually end up amounting to that much. Witch's Moon. Increase the Frostburn damage to Ring of Steel. Replace Pierce damage modifier for Rune of Hagrid with just giving it more cold damage. So yeah, what was I thinking? Yeah, so this kind of, it pairs well with Night Stalker Pendant. This is something I also brought up as a kind of a possibility. But it's weird. We'll see. Faction, Wraithguard. I wanted something cooler than this. It increased the pierce damage and attack speed on the granted skill. So this is worth looking at because the shields have problems. Why am I spelling that? Oh, Wrathguard. Excuse me. So, yeah, basically this gives more flat damage and attack speed now, which is good because shield pistol builds really need the attack speed. I just thought it was an opportunity to do something more unique, like piercing ranged Righteous Fervor or piercing ranged Fire Strike. Just like fully convert that shit to pierce. Because I feel like ranged pierce builds are sort of underrepresented in game, which is weird because the ranged weapons are often have a little pierce on them, and I don't know. It would just make sense for ranged pierce to be more supported. Faction augments got improved. Arguably, you could say Malmus Heart wasn't, but bleed resist usually have a surplus of, so technically that's an improvement. Atef's Promise, that's nice. Soleil's Glare replaced the bleed resist with pierce resist. That's really nice. Faction augment replaced Petrify resist with stun resist. That's a buff. That's cool. So two-handers just got improved all around. Just all skill bonuses on two-handers are supposed to go up to like +4 now if they weren't. So that's great. God, two-handers are going to be a lot stronger in certain cases. Monster Frequence. This one's controversial. They added this. They did give this to us in playtesting, but only for like a day or two. A lot of the Monster Infrequent belts now give +1 to a mastery and offers like 50% conversion from something to something of the mastery's damage type. So it's always a positive conversion, but what it's converting from is usually like really niche. So like I think Shaman's was like vitality to lightning conversion, which is obviously good because shamans have lightning, but it's also bad because where the fuck are you gonna get vitality damage from for a shaman? I guess it's to like one just the point is like +1 to a mastery in a way that's really easily obtainable, so it's a really easy way to get plus skills. So leveling will be a little easier for bad players that can just acquire these belts pretty reliably. Um, but it also kind of the idea is to open up weirder combinations like necromancer shaman, but not as a pet build, but as like a as an attacking build. Convert that vitality to lightning. I don't fucking know. It's weird. We suggested a few conversion changes. We'll see. They're so new, they have to be tested. I can't really give a strong opinion on them. Alchemos' Scythe added 15% chance of 100% cooldown reduction for Blitz. That's just really cool. That's just being able to like multiple cast. Blitz does a lot of damage, or just being able to spam it around the map every now and then. That's nice. Monster Frequency Alchemost's War Sword at a 50% percent chance of cooldown reduction for Fire's Might. That's also cool. Increased the percent of fire damage dealt as cold damage for Mimetic Burst and added a cold damage modifier to it. Oh, they're really trying to push this cold Fire's Might motif. If only they could make Fire's Might's fire trail turn into an ice trail when you use that. Yeah, people would just use it because it looks cool. Monster Frequent Basilisk Fang added 100% physical damage deltas acid modifier for Aegis of Menhir. Just a way to get your acid Aegis of Menhir. I think without the vitality damage conversion, there's or just yeah, there's fun stuff you can do with that. Monster Infrequent Corvin Eldritch Halberd added modifiers for Smite. Good to see Smite represented. Monster Frequent Corvin Storm Halberd increased the cooldown reduction modifier for Primal Strike to minus 0.7 seconds. I think what was it before? 7 was it half a second? Yeah, it was half a second. So it's 0.2 seconds. 0.2 seconds faster. So this is just pushing the nuke Primal Strike version to use with the Storm Halberd, which is nice because I felt that the spam Primal Strike shits all over the nuke version for a while now. Packless skins. Let's see what this is. Increased vitality damage to Wendigo Totem. I think Wendigo Totem got a buff further down too, to 100 damage. Placed its run speed reduction modifier with fumble protect. Oh, with fumble. That's strong. Giving shamans access to fumble and impaired aim to nerf your enemy's hit rate. That's strong. I like this a lot. I don't think it's going to be like top tier or anything, but I've always felt these helms looked really cool and spooky, but were kind of weak. Not kind of, they were pretty shit. And now they definitely just hardcore players are going to be happy about this if they want to do weirder shaman builds. There's the other one. Packless Visage. Increased bleed resist reduction modifier for Siphon Souls to 12%. Minus 12%, I should say. That's also good. If you want to do like a bleeding necro, you can try. Troll Bone Crusher added modifiers for Feral Hunger. That's exciting. It's extremely thematic. Feral Hunger representation, always good. And before we get into the rest of the stuff, God, that's a lot of things. Component Bloodied Crystal reduced to 12% bleed resist from, what was it, 24% bleed resist, I think. It's a big nerf. Yeah, it have the bleeding resist. Now, people are going to bitch about this, and it's certainly going to hurt some builds. And players on the forum always use this as an argument. Don't nerf that. It hurts this fringe build, or this build that was already struggling. They're so narrow-minded in the scope of game design. If my thing gets hurt, it must be a bad change. Bloodied Crystal was just, all it did was replace Runic Topazes. It's already still better, in my opinion, but the 24% bleed resist on both of them, and the fact that you would pretty much always use 2 on every character, made it so that bleeding resist on armor and faction augments and everything else was becoming less valuable. Like bleed resist became a dump stat because you were guaranteed to like well overcap your bleed resist. So this is a very healthy change that helps ensure that when you see bleeding resist on an armor piece, you don't roll your eyes because it's still going to be somewhat useful to certain builds. So it's good. Ooh, God, getting into this shit. What a fucking headache for me, man. Amarok Stone Crusher. Bonuses redesigned around spammable Amarastas Blade Burst. I tried this. I don't even care how good it is. It's fucking fun, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty good too. Uh, Basically, it just removes the cooldown completely. You get to spam Amaras's Blade Burst only with this mace. Really cool. Arcanum Electro. Blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna do that when I don't want to say the name. I'm just gonna make noises. Added electrocute damage, 30% electrocute duration, and 45% as cold as lightning. Really solid. Really solid buff. I imagine this item is closer to good now if it's not already good. Brutal Axe, increased pierce ratio to 50%, damage adjusted accordingly. That's great. Brutal Axe was underrated. I thought it was weak, but it turns out it was actually really good on a pierce build someone figured out. So this is great. Cinder Core, increased burn duration to 50%, increased offensive ability to 80. Ooh, that is a big offensive ability buff. Oh, and I see. So this is how Xantai is trying to help Granado be more of a thing. Okay, alright. Fire Granado. I really gotta try that out. Because I do want Fire Granado to be good. I don't see any Granado builds, and that makes me sad. Especially because the spell effect looks better on Granado now. Not from this patch, from a while ago, but I guess Granado's still bad. Cinderplate Girdle. Added 3% offensive ability, increased crit damage to 7%, reduced cooldown on the skill proc. Ooh, I'm imagining it's like, there's probably 1.5 second skill recharge. I don't know, maybe it's 1 second, but either way. 3% more crit damage, and 3% OA. That's solid. Conduit of Night Whispers got a new modifier. This works with that Epic Storm Serpent set. So it's making Lightning Shadow Strike more of a thing. That's pretty cool. Conduit of Undying Whispers makes Blight Fiend variant to be Vitality themed. You can do some cool stuff with that of what? The Lost Soul set. So that's neat. Mythical Covenant of the Three, increased burn, bleeding damage, and defensive ability reduction on the skill proc. Let me think about that. Oh, it's that weird helm. Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. Crimson Spike, reduced pierce ratio to 10%, damage adjusted accordingly, added 13 vitality damage. I really like this. Crimson Spike is a weird one though. It's got problems because here's why. It supports vitality damage Ring of Steel. The health steal on it is obviously crazy, and now that it's getting flat vitality, has some vitality conversion built in. And when Deco totems are better, God, we'll be yawning a lot. But did you yawn too? Comment if you yawned after I yawned. Yawns are contagious. I worry about this item being good because melee vitality has often suffered, not been strong enough. But flat damage is premium, therefore, because they usually get lots of resist reduction. So we'll see. We'll see. Death Guard Sigil updated the skill proc to have more appropriate damage types. This was good. I think people were annoyed at this for a while. Yeah, it did cold vitality damage. Now it's going to do cold and acid damage. So that's good. Decree of Aldrich. Yeah, I requested this. I still don't think it's good enough. Basically, Where'd it go from? Yeah, it's another zero point 0.4 seconds off devastation. Dual wielding this, there's no point because using a tome will give you even more cooldown off it. But I just argued that devastation was over nerfed, and the items again, like Rune of Haggard, if you're gonna slightly over nerf, in my opinion, a skill, at least make sure that the items that specialize in it are strong enough to bring back some of its former glory. Dracaris got huge buffs. +2 to Flame Touch, removed Hellfire Mine, increased percent chance to kill. Okay, not huge buffs. I thought it was bigger than that. Okay, Dracaris. Bleh. Oh, I'm thinking Mythical Dracaris. That's going to show up later on. Dread Scorcher. I feel like oh god, I'm like wasting my time with some of these. Yeah, let's just get to the mythical versions. Dread Scorcher has a mythical version, so we'll skip it. Eldritch Gaze, mythical version. Okay, so yeah. Covenant, those two, Covenant Helm and Eldritch Gaze Helm are both just better now. The defensive ability reduction is really nice. Okay, so here we get to the shoulder stuff that I try to get in one of my threads. Embercore Shoulder Guard, added fire damage, attack speed, lightning to fire, increased burn damage, remove physical damage. So it's more fire themed now, and it gains a little more damage. This could have gotten the belt treatment too, and had the cooldown reduced here as well. If it's the same skill, it might have actually had its cooldown reduced and just not been listed. I don't know. I just wanted these non-set shoulders to be better because they compete with set shoulders, and now it will be a bit better. Will it be better enough? I don't know. You know what? You know what could be done to this? This could get the Oh, I should have suggested this. The canister bomb stuff from this shoulder can be like completely removed. You have the Ulzuan set for canister bomb, like period. If you're gonna do fire canister, Ulzuan set. So this should go like full Granado, I think, and that would be better. To work with that Cinder Core pistol. To Entropic Coil. We'll get to the mythical version. Farath's Cube, that's a level 94 item. So everyone wants cast speed, and Xantai is like, you guys fucking want cast speed on everything? Can't spellcasters be good in other ways? So instead of getting more cast speed, you get more crit damage, more OA, so you crit more often, more health, more cold damage, 2 Flames of Ignifar, and Penetti's Replicating Missile as well. So that's great. It's great buffs. I kind of agree with him. The problem is like the Panetti version needs the spell speed, the cast speed more than the Farath. Flames of Ignifar attacks so many times per second that if you just use the little weapon damage you get for it to lifesteal really fast. But Panetti's Replicating Missile doesn't attack a bajillion times per second, so it really needs the cast speed to get any amount of lifesteal sufficiently when you get items that add weapon damage to it. Like what? Spell Gaze, I think. So I worry still about the Panetti Replicating Missile side of it. People really need to put a build together so we can really figure out the detriments, but the Flame of Ignifar side should be better. So it's good. It's a good buff. Fate Weaver's Mantle. Oh! Two things. God, like this is like one step forward, one step back. Well, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Yeah. Okay. So this sucked. This sucked dick. Because 1, you usually get enough DA nowadays that you don't get crit at all. Like if you're getting crit, you're usually just dying. 2, the ability only really helps HP rebuilds, excuse me, and Fizz resist. That part's nice, and then like Pierce resist. So if you're dying to other damage types, which sometimes you are in challenge content, it's like useless. And it's on, and since it's on crit, if you get like weirdly crit from like an attack that doesn't really damage you that much, you could use up the duration when you don't really need it. So this is a buff. But I can tell you when he said the cooldown was adjusted, I'm pretty sure it went up to a minute. Like, what the fuck, man? It didn't need its cooldown changed at all. If anything, it could have used it lowered to like 35 seconds or 30 seconds. It just wasn't that strong. Um, yeah, I'm disappointed. I think this item can be stronger, but it's a healthy change. At least that when it goes off, it'll go off when you're actually in trouble. So that's nice. Like you don't have to be crit to start dying. Now if anything's killing you, you're gonna be getting that proc off. Fiend's Resolve uh, updated the skill proc values. That just means a buff. I don't know why that doesn't show up. There you go. This was improved, I imagine, which is cool. I wonder how. Maybe the duration. I didn't look into that. Gavel of Ravenous Souls replaced the conversion with Fire Delta's physical. That's really good. I think it was like, what was it? Either it was something weird before for like a physical virus might item. Um, oh, it used to be Fire to Vitality. Blah, blah, blah. That's solid. That's good. Good change. Gildor's Pulverizer. That that really actually makes me want to try Oppressor, Necromancer, Oathkeeper, and do Virus Might and see if we can pull it off. Gildor's Pulverizer, increase skill bonuses to +4. Woo! Increase resist reduction modifier to Granada to 28 and added a matching modifier to Virus Might. It's just a weird. This is just weird. It's just piercing Granado. Resist 8%, 8 more resist reductions. Nice. All these plus skills are now +4. That definitely helps flesh out the lack of skill points by a little bit, but I'm just skeptical. I like the idea of like zooming around with piercing Virus Might and throwing grenades out though. So like I do want to see the item work. I just don't know if the item support is there for it in other places. But I imagine you can go like Inquisitor instead and do like Granado Inquisitor with piercing, and that could be hopefully good. I don't fucking know. Gut Smasher. Increased bonus to soldier skills and +2. Yeah. Oh, Gut Smasher. Um. Okay, so Bleeding Eye of Reckoning is like the weirdest fucking idea ever. But just the soldier +2, I feel like you're not gonna use this for Eye of Reckoning. Um, that's a lot of fizz damage. Its range bothers people because you can have like really low hits and really high hits, but like I don't know. Bleeding Savagery. I'm not even sure people are going to use this as a bleeding item still, but that's pretty strong. Hell Scourge. Uh, yeah, that's another 94 item. Increased. Okay, so I don't think this buff is going to be enough. The reason why we like this is. Oh no, I'm mixing this up. I thought this was the Fire Sigil of Consumption item, but it's a weird one. Increased damage on the skill proc. Oh, the skill proc's going off very often, so that's nice. Horns of Korvac. How much more of this do I have to go? Oh my god. I think I'm gonna make this like a 2 or 3-parter. I'm gonna need a break. Added Petrify to the skill proc and elemental damage reduction to the skill proc, so it reduces enemies that do fire, lightning, or cold damage. Cooldown reduced on the high level version. That's cool. Here's why it's cool. I'm pretty sure the skill proc is sort of like the devotion thing, or maybe yeah, it is. It's like these 6 projectiles orbit around you. So this will just go off more often on the high level version, and the petrify, is going to stutter basically weaker mobs. So it's going to be defensively a stronger item, and offensively because it's going off more often. But I don't know. I think the helm is still clunky in its actual stats, but I like what it's trying to do. Judgment of Empyrean. We sneaked this in towards the end when I did a thread on tomes, but added lightning damage and 15% physical delta's fire. Updated conversion to 45% of chaos delta's lightning. Updated values on the granted skill. In this case, this means a buff. Removed the physical damage. So this is good. This item people forgot even existed. It's really cool looking. It just makes like a fiery vortex around your hand. And the main reason it's cool is because it gives you this castable skill, Sunspot. It just looks really cool. It's like a big fucking pillar of fiery light blasting your enemies. And now it's gonna be better. So that's good. Corvin Worm added +1 to Shaman skills. That's really important. We're trying to make this work. It's trying to be a physical damage primal strike item. The problem is it doesn't have attack speed. It has cooldown reduction, so what are you supposed to do? Do the nuke version? It really should probably give up on being the nuke primal strike. If it's gonna do this weird conversion to physical, you should probably just try to get attack speed, get rid of the cooldown reduction, and be spam primal strike for physical damage. I'd like to see the nuke version work. Maybe there's a way it could work if Zantai is willing to adjust the base values on the nuke versus the spam. Like, make the base skill more powerful and then make the penalty for spamming it bigger, so the spam version would end up about the same, but the nuke version would be improved. I think that'd be a good change. But people are worried that might be OP. I don't know. Lifeblaze Mantle. Increased OA to 40, added a little cast speed, removed the conversion, increased damage, and reduced cooldown on the skill proc. This thing's fucking weird. So now it does more damage, so it also heals you more, and its cooldown is lower. So it heals you more often. So that's good. The weird conversion's gone. That's nice. It supports lots of damage types, so that's weird. I just feel like it's still going to be a clunky item. It's competing with sets, and I don't know if it has like enough support for anything specific. So it's probably not going to get removed from the list of things that need work. Mark of Consumption. Reduced attack damage converted to health modifier for Phantasmal Blades to 4%, and its bleed damage modifier to 40. Phantasmal Blades was just getting a little OP, so that's fine. Mythical Abyssal Masks add 4% cast speed. I mean, it's for Vitality Drain Essence and Bloody Pox. We'll take it. Mythical Adversary. Increased bonuses to class skills to +2. Reduced bonuses to improve casing and shattering blast to +2. Oh, you fucking kidding me? Wow. So these are all +2 now, but these are also +2. But that's a huge buff. This item is probably solid now. Aldenar's Vanity. So I wanted the ability. This is a really unique item. It's worth spending some time on. I guess this doesn't like quotations. All right. So the ability reduces all your active cooldowns, but it also has its own cooldown. This is a huge buff though. So I wanted to play with these values more down here because I like the recharge mechanic. I understand the risk of it being OP, but I just thought it'd be worth tweaking further, see if something magical could come out of it. But instead, we get just a huge fucking stat buff. So the OA and the DA was increased to 130 each. So you're looking at 40 more OA and like 106 more DA. That's crazy good. Like that's really solid. Amatox Step added 26% Aether Resist. Is this the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, so this supports Cold Granado. So now it's getting Aether Resist, and just in terms of resistances and slow resist, it's solid. Solid defensive choice for cold builds, just in its base stats. I just worry that I feel like this could have +2 Shattering Blast and +2 Granado, and it's not going to be OP because Cold Granado is not really supported well anywhere else. That's all I really want for this thing, is to get +2 Granado on top of the +2 Shattering Blast, but whatever. Uh, Mythical Andaros' Amplifier, reduced fire damage. Okay, so basically Mortar Traps got a bunch of nerfs because shit was out of control. So I'm gonna gloss over some of those. Here we go. Yeah, Electrosis, 90 electrocute damage. We run over the non-mythical version. Yeah, it's a positive change. Bane of the Winter King, my friends. Woo! This is great. This item was already like one of the good. This was one of the good two-handers, and now the Trickster is going to get another +1 on top of this +1 to all Shaman skills. It's very strong, not to be underrated. Solid, solid, solid. I really like it. I mean, that means your aura's more powerful, your two-hander passives. It's great. Mythical Basilisk Claw. Okay, so here we go. Flat damage. Ooh, to Bloodedreek. More flat damage when you use Bloodedreek. Increase the cooldown reduction modifier. So you can heal more often. Add Blade Barrier. Blade Barrier. Oh, increase its cooldown reduction modifier to -2.5. I guess the idea is spamming Blade Barrier and letting the retaliation do its work, but I mean, no one's really gonna take that seriously. Oh, so this is straight out of one of my suggestions. I'm really happy with this. The Mythical Blood Orb of Chthon added. So I didn't suggest all of this, but someone else suggested +1 Shaman skills on it. I really like that, so I was like, yeah, do it. It got health as well, and this part I suggested added % damage bonuses to the granted skill. I really, really, really like this. Fuck me, man. All right. So the whole point is that +1 to Shaman. Now it's like a conjure vitality item. It's really solid. It converts elemental to chaos. It converts acid to vitality. So it supports like these crazy things, but it has this downside of 65 health per second. And if you're a caster, you're squishy. So I'm fine with the downside. Vitality damage tends to have a lot of healing, but the item is just kind of weak. Back in the old days, you could do some funky stuff with it, but it's just been kind of outpaced since then. So now, what should happen is I don't know what the values are. I don't know if it's like +100% or +200% or something, but you're gonna get plus something percent chaos damage and vitality damage here, not just converted to, but bonus damage as well. And I don't think it's a small amount. I think it's a big amount. So that's a great buff. I really imagine that this is potentially like good tier, pretty good tier. Bloodsong got nerfed. It deserved it. Bleeding builds were fucking up everything in Crucible and everything. Mythical Bone Shatter Treads increased physical resist to 4%. That's like from 3%, but every percent of physical resist matters a lot. And increased the bleed resist to 28%. That's good. Now this one's fun. This item is like so forgettable. Boneweave Girdle. Get this. So it gained 5% Fizz Resist. I'm pretty sure this is the only belt with Fizz Resist built in, not like a set bonus or anything. Increased OA to 110 and increased bonus to Siphon Souls to +3. I mean, so this item has a proc that heals you, and now it gets 5% Fizz Resist. And the OA is going even higher. If this item isn't like good now, I would guess that it just needs like another plus skills, like a fourth bonus or something, or maybe a tweaking of the skills it already benefits. I imagine that. I mean, it's not going to be bad anymore. It's certainly not bad, but not. It might just be outclassed, but that's okay. Like it's really hard to fit all items into a place. There's too many items to expect them all to compete wonderfully. Boots of Primordial Rage added 30% stun resist. That's really solid. That's way more up there of what what I thought the boots needed. I mean, looking at it, what was it before? Yeah, I got like health added to it previously, and it was okay, but stun resist helps it out more. Mythical Brutal Axe. Yeah. So we'll get to this before people make a fucking face at me. So yeah, got increased OA. Got the Pierce we talked about earlier. This is fun. Adjusted the bleed damage modifier to Amarasta's quick cut to 120 for 2 seconds. Now people might think Amarasta quick cut's a meme, but it's not a meme anymore. Not as much. Mythical Butcher of Burwitch. Reduced bleed damage and reduced bleed. Yeah, so bleed is just getting hit. Because bleed builds were like performing like madmen. Mythical Childred Mantle increased offensive ability to 75%. To 75. Added stun resist and reduced cooldown on the proc. Let me see the proc so I can see how good that even is. Stun resist is premium, always nice. I think Childred Mantle is one of like the not so bad ones. I think this one actually was like semi usable. Oh, Spines of Ice. Doesn't do any weapon damage, but 6 projectiles, all directions. Oh, when hit by melee attacks. That's... I think if we can convince Xantai to change this to just when hit, even if it's not 33%, even if it's like 20% chance when hit, even 15% chance because there's so many projectiles, it might be a better item, but I like the buff. I don't like chance on hit on melee hit. It's usually just like bad. Maybe if it was like 100% chance when hit on melee hit. I mean, it's useless on like caster enemies because they never smack you. So there's that. Let's see. Chill Flame Evoker increased attack speed to 18% and cast speed to 18%. Yeah, this is for Cold Fire Strike. Ooh! 8% more attack speed. Okay. Yeah, might be good. Mythical Codex of Eternal Storms. Just more OA. Okay. I don't really have much to say about it. Codex of Eternal Lies. I don't know if this was a mistake. I don't think it was. I thought this could be buffed. Increased crit damage modifier to Alex Aether Ray to 15%. It's not like crazy or anything. Just another 3% crit damage. It was already good. I just felt it's competing with that fucking MI that lets you lifesteal off Aether Ray, which is so premium that if you're gonna give that up, like just let the damage be crazy. Aether Ray builds are squishy, so I think it's fine. Okay, Codex of Truths. Increased cooldown reduction to Horn of Gondar to -2 seconds. Increased lightning damage for Judgment to 90 to 300. So this item has a problem. I want it to be better yet. Another second off Horn of Gondar is nice. better lightning damage on Judgment is nice. It's going to be a lightning Judgment kind of build. I feel like one of these, Demolitionist or Inquisitor, should be changed to Shaman. Probably Demolitionist should be changed to Shaman, and then doing Lightning Shaman with Lightning Judgment has, I think, a better chance of working. Otherwise, I think Inquisitor is your only shot. I don't think you can't really give up you can't give up Inquisitor because of the Hornet Gondor. So yeah, you have to. I would change to the Demolitionist and Heavy Ordnance, and I'd swap that out for Shaman. The other problem is this proc is weird. It confuses things, but it does nothing offensively. And you're already doing like a weird converted to lightning skill that isn't like that offensively amazing. I just think this item needs a lot more tweaking than that. All right, so here's the added 21 vitality damage. Yeah, we talked about the non-mythical version. Added attack damage converted to health to. So Ring of Steel is gonna like full heal you. And it increased the heal modifier for Wendigo Totem, to 3% plus 300. So that's good. It's really like going hard on like the healing thing. Like if you can get tanky enough with this, you can maybe I don't know what you do. Shattered Realm set? No, you gotta find like a set to support this or something. We'll see. I think I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna make this like a 2-part video. Use the restroom, freshen up. This is gonna take a lot out of me, so we'll call it here.